Hi, we're making movies.
And you're watching Music Why Not?
In Latin music right now, what's really popular is like Latin urban, and like tropical music. And you guys went a completely different direction. So how did that come about?
I don't think we know how to do anything else. I think that's kind of the Kansas City being a bit of a vacuum. Like there wasn't a scene to plug into, so we were just kind of making music in basements and rehearsal spaces, and trying to invent. Really, we felt like there was like almost feel like there's like an archaeological discovery of like as you like peel off the layers of Latin music, you get into the Afro roots, and that excited Juan Carlos once he joined the band. Like I remember the first time he did the bata influenced bembe. We're doing that at the end of a rock and roll song kind of, and we just felt so excited.
Yeah.
So I don't think we didn't try to do this. This is like it's just what felt like
Felt natural to us.
yeah.
What influenced you to become musicians?
Yeah, I think we both kind of have the same story. Well, we both have brothers who are also in the band, and our dads were both very musical. My dad was a drummer. He was a drummer in the late 60s, early 70s with the Mexican rock band in Mexico, in Guadalajara, called the Spiders. And so there was always music around. My mom's a dancer, so grew up dancing and just loving music. So
I mean, my dad plays guitar too, and one of my first baby pictures, I'm like hanging onto his guitar strings, like, so I've always loved it. I remember being 11 years old, and I told my parents that I didn't want to go to college. I was going to be a studio musician. I'd only read about what that means. I didn't know.
I
what
was
it
the
meant.
same way. I didn't want to go to real college. I wanted to be a musical engineer.
And how did you guys come together to make music?
His very talented and very awesome mama. She's badass. She runs a restaurant. She also runs a grupo ballet folclórico. So that's why Juan Carlos and Andres have rhythm like oozing out of them, because they've been dancing ballet folclórico their whole lives. And she's just a badass. So I just got hired to play like acoustic at a Dia de los Muertos festival, like before the band, before anybody knew any of our music, or I mean, I didn't even know. Didn't have full songs then, really. But met your mom, and she's like, "You gotta meet my son. He's very handsome and very talented."
Aww.
And the rest is history.
Did your album, which was released this year. So can you guys tell me a little bit more about that?
We started making the album 2 years ago, and we almost felt like we had like summoned a curse. Like we were digging up these archaeological rhythms, as like a joke that they are. I started reading books about Santeria and Yoruba, like the spirituality of each rhythm and all this stuff. And for a split second, we thought maybe we summoned the wrong god, because it got held up by so many multiple factors in our personal life, in our business, like some weird stuff of just like we literally had to redo some things a few times, because like things just disappeared. So we had to just like redo things sometimes, and like it just became a mess. But at the end, it came together, and it's a really heartfelt piece. I feel like we really meant it.
Yeah,
So-
definitely.
So we're excited that it's in the world.
What would you say like has been the crowd reaction?
We just did a show back at home, our album release show in Kansas City, and yeah, it was a great show. Everybody's excited. I think it's been more just an anticipation of new music,
Right.
since we haven't had anything for
3.5, 4 years.
Yeah, almost 4 years now. And so I think that excitement, that anticipation really kind of drew to everybody kind of really involved with our music.
Is there any songs that you're fond of more than others?
I think my favorite so far, it's been one that I actually told Enrique from the very beginning when we even started, before recording it. I was like, this is probably my favorite song of all of them. It's the Que Hace Él. I don't even know what track number it is, but that's probably my favorite of the album.
I love them all differently, but maybe right this week I just decided to listen to the CD. We rented a van that has a CD player, so we tested our CDs that we've been selling and make sure they work. So we actually listened to the album from start to finish, which I haven't done in a long time. And I liked Revolver a lot.
Yeah,
that
one's a
listen.
really good one.
So that one is spooky and I think unique.
Where do you pull your inspiration from?
The concept of the album is this. At least we were on the road 4 years ago now, something like that. And we realized that we were like had some of our best friends, and one of them was my cousin from Venezuela. They were each like having their own crisis in a way, and totally different people. A Venezuelan guy, a guy from the Midwest, a guy that's living in LA, like completely different people, but the crises had some similarity to it. Like they seem to feel the same, or I don't know. It just kind of hit me the weight. You know, my friends are going through some shit right now, and this is heavy. So I decided that I wanted to find a way to convey that feeling. It's a feeling that you have when you travel, where you're like, man, these people are so different, and then you have these other bonds where you're like, and they're also exactly like me, right? And so that was the concept. So the stories in the album intentionally follow these three people, and so there's basically each person gets 3 songs, and that's why the album feels all tied together. Inside the song, I'm really, even if I'm trying to write about my friend's marriage, which I'm not in their marriage, the only way I can pull real emotion is to pull from things I've experienced and then place them into that song. So it kind of is this weird both thing. And when I sing songs live, I usually try to reconnect with some emotion or feeling or a place I've been in my life and kind of channel that.
I mean, we were all kind of going through our own personal crises, I guess you could say, during,
turmoil
or yeah, whatever you want to call it, during that time of the recording. So I think, even though, you know, their lyrics or everything else wasn't technically, it was more of just a concept about other stories, but we felt the emotion, you know, and we kind of portrayed that emotion in how we played and everything like that.
You write the lyrics and then you guys come together and make the music, or how did you like come in with like a guitar track, or?
I usually come in with what like the frame of the house. So we've got like kind of we know that this is the living room, and we know that this is the doorway and the exit, and it's all framed, but you can definitely take it so many different directions once you actually put sheetrock on and then paint it and decorate it and then move the couch over here, move it over there. And so I usually come in with the house framed and just the framing, and these guys are the architects and the designers.
Good analogy. Yeah. No, it's cool. It's a nice way how we decide to make our music. Like you said, it comes in with the ideas and everything, and then we just kind of form around it, and just kind of mold it to how we like it.
Do you remember the first album you ever bought?
Yeah. Yeah, it's embarrassing. So, got a gift certificate to CD Warehouse or CD Exchange or something, and I was so in love with guitar. I was probably 9 or 10 or something, and I wanted to buy a Van Halen album because I wanted to play crazy guitar. And my dad's like, your mom will never let you play this in the house.
Really?
And I was like, well, I kind of like this Dave Matthews songs on the radio. He's like, well, that's quieter. Your mom will let you buy that one. And so I bought a Dave Matthews album. That's my first CD.
I actually shared a purchase, my first CD, and it was
You guys pitched in?
Yeah, me and Whitney.
Oh, nice.
We pitched in to buy Blackstreet.
Do you remember your first recollection of live music?
Mine was New Kids on the Block.
Was it really?
Oh, nice.
I was little.
Oh.
And my cousin took me and some other cousins. We saw New Kids on the Block at the amphitheater there in Kansas City.
My dad liked old rock and roll, and he took me to see the Steve Miller Band, and I was like,
Oh, that's really cool.
I was pretty young, and I thought it was okay, you know, I thought it was cool. I wasn't a huge Steve Miller Band fan, but I liked anything with guitar. If it was just guitar, I was happy. I do remember being really little and going down to Crown Center, it's like this touristy part of Kansas City, and there was a jazz guitar player playing Christmas songs. And I just remember having the feeling, I was super little, I'm like, if I could just do that, that's it.
If you could play with any artists that are alive, just like a jam session, not like on stage, who would it be?
If I could have been a part of the Fania All-Stars, I think any of those guys, or like Tito Puente. I mean, I'm big on, I play the percussion, so any Latin percussion, anything like that, I think I would have been pretty happy to do.
This is probably not my all-time, like, if I sat and thought longer, but the first name that pops in my head is like, if I could jam with D'Angelo, I would have a blast.
There's always a deeper meaning behind an album or behind a band. So what do you hope that people grasp from your music?
Well, we made the album trying to tell these stories, and in a way, it's really just trying to explain how our families feel. Our families come from all different parts of the world, and they landed in this place and then moved over here and moved over there, and I think a lot of people's families are like that. That's just kind of how the world is.
Yeah.
So we were just trying to tell people we know stories and our experiences, and then everything became the political climate changed so much with Trump kind of saying crazy things on a national pulpit and international pulpit. It was crazy.
Terrible.
So yeah, it was terrifying and terrible, and it's still terrifying that he's in power. It's amazing. So it changed a little bit, but I think that I'm going to steal the words of Billy Bragg. So we played this Folk Alliance conference, and Billy Bragg is a political songwriter, and I've never considered myself a political songwriter. And he said this. He goes, music is super powerful and engaging in its ability to give you empathy. Just by default, when you hear a song, even if it's a love song, you're feeling other people's feelings, right? Because it's like they're in love, and you feel it for a moment for 3 minutes, and it's fun. And that's empathy. It's feeling what other people might be experiencing. And he says music has that power to do that. If you can have empathy and have that lead into action, then you get solidarity, which is what we need in this political climate. And I thought, you know what? That's really the goal. Is if people can realize that we're not as different as we think we are, that we're more connected, then sometimes we like to divide all these lines and give empathy for other people's experiences. Maybe you've never immigrated to another country, so when something frustrates you about it, you can't relate with them. Maybe you could relate a little more if you put yourself in someone else's shoes, that kind of thing. We decided that a percentage of all the proceeds that we make on this album forever are going to go to an organization called NILC. It's a National Immigration Law Center. So if you don't normally purchase music, maybe just know that all of our album sales for the rest of this album's life will help that, and that's an organization that helps immigrant families when they need legal counsel. So because that's not work, that's the real work, and
Right.
all we can do is maybe point people to realize these things exist, and if they're in a situation that need help.
Thank you guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
What you